A mother experienced embarrassment the moment she entered the parent-teacher meeting at the prestigious international school. Due to her cotton shirt and worn flats, she became the subject of ridicule among mothers with red lipstick and designer handbags. One inquired if she worked in the cafeteria, and another laughed, suggesting she had entered the wrong room. 15 minutes later, her billionaire husband arrived. Hillside Academy was situated on a carefully landscaped hill in San Francisco, its glass and steel campus symbolizing prosperity and aspiration. With a yearly tuition of $80,000, it attracted tech executives, hedge fund managers, and established wealthy families. Students arrived in Teslas and Range Rovers. Parent-teacher conferences were an impressive event, taking place in the auditorium beneath a high, curved ceiling, with chandeliers scattering light over rows of velvet seating. The parents entered as if attending a Met Gala, adorned in silk blazers, their stilettos clicking, Hermes Kelly bags swaying, and the air scented with Creed perfume. Their jewelry, including Cartier and Van Cleef pieces, shimmered like a personal constellation, and their murmured conversations held an air of authority. This was a setting where social standing was the accepted measure and nonconformity was heavily discouraged. Clara Vale entered through the double doors, her white cotton shirt tucked into straight-leg trousers, her faded gray flats making no sound on the polished floor. At 32, she possessed a quiet beauty, with emerald eyes that conveyed warmth and strength, dark hair arranged in a neat bun, her face unadorned and glowing naturally. She held a small notebook and a scuffed iPhone 8, her only adornments a simple wedding band and an aura of calm, unwavering poise. Clara, the daughter of a retired librarian and a carpenter, grew up in a modest Oakland bungalow. However, she was secretly married to Ethan Vale, a billionaire tech founder whose $200 million donation had rebuilt Hillside's campus. She prioritized a simple life, her wealth connected to Ethan's $10 billion empire, while maintaining a love for teaching art part-time and raising their daughter, Lily. She had come today to address Lily's difficulties, her heart calm but burdened. The auditorium resonated with carefully managed conversations, parents enjoying sparkling water from crystal glasses, their Rolexes reflecting the light. As Clara took a seat in the rear rows, the parents, adorned in Chanel and sparkling with Cartier, made her arrival a pointed display. Vanessa Holt, the venture capitalist's wife, rose and indicated Clara's flats, proclaiming, "Did she borrow those from the school's lost and found?" A wave of applause filled the air, accompanied by the sparkle of diamond rings as attendees captured images and shared them within the Hillside Royals WhatsApp group. Diana Crane, relaxed and dressed in Gucci, playfully tossed a discarded napkin at Clara, saying, "Use this for your resume." Lila Pierce, the technology CEO, remarked, "She's an embarrassment to Hillside's reputation." Simultaneously, phones recorded the scene, with video clips appearing on Instagram stories alongside captions such as "Scholarship Scrub." Elise Tate, her fur stole swaying, smirked from the sidelines, her silence seeming to approve of the attack. The laughter surged like a wave, each taunt a new injury to Clara's pride, but she remained upright, her emerald eyes steady, her notebook held close. The posts received 30,000 views, each share a public humiliation of her dignity. Clara took a seat in the back row, her notebook resting on her lap, her eyes surveying the room. As Clara took her seat, the parents' derision escalated into a harsh display. Vanessa Holt, her Chanel suit reflecting the light, rose and brandished a $5,000 Mont Blanc pen, exclaiming, "Did she borrow this from the janitor's cart?" The crowd reacted with uproar, their diamond bracelets sparkling as they shared posts to the Hillside Royals group with the caption, "Hammer Charity Case." Diana Crane, her Gucci dress catching the light, threw a sugar cube from her coffee tray at Clara, taunting, "Here for your next thrift store run." Lila Pierce, her Rolex catching the light, declared, "She's a stain on Hillside's legacy." Elise Tate, her first stole moving with her, recorded the event, her Instagram live accumulating 40,000 views with comments such as, "Ban her," and "She's embarrassing." The taunts formed a planned attack, each word a new wound to Clara's dignity. However, she remained composed, her emerald eyes unwavering, her notebook a quiet defense. The video circulated, each interaction a public reprimand, to her pride. Amidst Vanessa's taunts, the school staff became involved, transforming Clara's situation into a public spectacle. A counselor, Tara Lee, positioned close to the stage, seized a program and brandished it, loudly asking, "What's this, your application to clean the halls?" The parents laughed. Diana, recording her live stream caption reading, had Hillside Hobo. Another staff member, Dean Paul Carter, added, "She thought she could integrate with us?" Marcus Tate exclaimed, "Check her bag. I bet it's full of thrift store receipts." The footage went viral on X, garnering a meeting with Had and accumulating 40,000 retweets. Clara opened her notebook, displaying only lesson plans, but Tara threw it back, whispering, "Trash," just like her outfit. The shaming was a calculated display, the staff's hostility intensifying the elite's disdain. Clara's flats remained still, her emerald eyes flashing with discomfort, but her silence persisted, a silent resistance against the crowd. The posts circulated, each view a painful blow to her self-respect. Vanessa Holt, a venture capitalist's wife with 300,000 Instagram followers, and mother dressed in a red Chanel suit, observed Clara and expressed a derisive smile. She remarked to her friend, Diana Crane, a real estate heiress and wearer of an emerald Gucci, "Did someone extend invitations to the cafeteria staff for this gathering?" Diana responded with laughter, her $50,000 Birkin swaying, "That's Lily's mom, the student with a full scholarship. Apparently, she originates from modest circumstances." A ripple of laughter went through the room, with phones quietly taking pictures, the images instantly shared in a private WhatsApp group labeled Hillside Royals Scholarships NAFU. Clara remained still, catching sharp comments from the staff table located behind the stage. Paul Carter, straightening his tie, remarked with disdain, "Look at her. I bet she makes her own clothes with a library card." Tara, organizing handouts, chuckled, "She's here to ask for Lily's tuition." A third staff member, a librarian named Mia Holt, commented, "Ms. Veronica is too classy for people like that." Their words were audible as Clara steadied her notebook. An intern, carrying coffee, photographed Clara and shared the image to the staff's Slack channel with the caption, "Hat had lost in luxury." The image was then published on a gossip blog, which quickly accumulated comments such as, "Pathetic, ban her." Rumors circulated like a backstage betrayal, reflecting the parents' disapproval, every statement a deliberate attempt to diminish Clara's value. Her bun remained tidy, her emerald eyes blazing, yet she continued writing, their negativity unable to shatter her poise. The blog post reached 50,000 views, each comment a new hurt. Clara raised her head, her emerald eyes steady and intense. "Thank you for expressing concern about my family's finances," she stated, her voice gentle but distinct. "Were you examining bank statements to feel superior?" The room fell silent, Vanessa's face reddening, her voice sharp. "Who do you think you are? Just sit there quietly and be thankful, freeloader." The parents nodded, their jewelry making a clinking sound, as if Clara's presence was an insult to their world. Clara's lips curved into a slight smile, her posture unwavering. "Oh, now I understand why your daughter bullies mine," she said, her tone even. "It seems she's picked up that mannerism somewhere." The auditorium grew colder, audible gasps spreading, yet Clara remained seated, her notebook open, her silence a steadfast defense. The taunts continued. While Clara shifted her notebook, she overheard muttered comments from the staff table positioned close to the stage. Mia Holt, the librarian, spoke in a loud whisper, her clothes clearly indicate food stamps. "How could she possibly sit with us?" Paul Carter laughed. "She's likely here to acquire additional scholarships." Tara Lee remarked that Ms. Veronica was too sophisticated for her type. Their voices were audible, pointed enough to cause discomfort as Clara was seated just a few rows back. An intern, tasked with arranging chairs, captured a photo of Clara's flats and shared it on the staff's private Discord, with the caption, "Had Hillside Hobo too." The image subsequently appeared on a local gossip site, prompting a deluge of comments, including "disgraceful," "expel her kid." The hushed remarks constituted a planned act of disloyalty, reflecting the parents' contempt, and represented a concerted effort to undermine Clara's value. Her bun remained neat, her emerald eyes glowing with controlled intensity, Yet she continued writing, their negativity failing to shatter her determination. The site's post reached 70,000 views, with each comment a new wound. Diana Crane, her Gucci dress gleaming, whispered to Lila Pierce, loud enough for Clara to overhear, "Her daughter's a difficulty, frequently upset in class." She continued, "It's no surprise. She has a mother who can't even dress appropriately for this gathering." Lila Pierce, her diamond studs sparkling, added, "Students on scholarships invariably create drama. These individuals are not welcome." Videos taken on their phones have been shared within the WhatsApp group, now reaching 20,000 views and attracting numerous comments with calls to remove them. Hillside deserves better. Marcus Tate, a father and tech VP, participated, expressing mockery, suggesting, "Bet she's here to beg for more handouts." The ensuing laughter felt like a surge, and each remark felt like a new hurt, but Clara maintained a composed gaze, her flats firmly planted on the floor, and her dignity served as a defense against their harsh words. Ms. Veronica Blake, the homeroom teacher, stood from her desk. Her navy blazer was sharply tailored, her blonde bob neatly styled. At 40, she was Hillside's key figure, her reputation established by satisfying affluent parents, her $200,000 salary dependent on their satisfaction. Her tone was level yet cold. "I want to address a sensitive matter," she stated, her gaze fixed on Clara. "Lily has been experiencing frequent crying in class, having difficulty with socializing, and causing disturbances in the classroom environment." Parents acknowledged, Vanessa murmuring, "As expected." Clara expressed a subtle frown, her voice remaining composed. "My daughter reported being locked out of class, having her lunch concealed, and being pushed in the bathroom," she stated. Ms. Veronica's expression became more intense, her voice carrying a critical edge. "Children who experience bullying often contribute to the situation," she observed. "You might consider a review of your parenting approaches." A ripple of agreement passed through the room, Diana's Birkin making a sound as she nodded. Ms. Veronica proceeded, her voice distinct amidst the subdued sounds. "Following a discussion with the school board, we have decided to suspend Lily for 3 days to prevent further disruption." Parents offered quiet applause. Marcus smirked, saying, "Good call." Clara's fingers tightened around her notebook, her emerald eyes briefly reflecting distress, but she remained silent. She retrieved her iPhone, composed a brief message, and sent it. "Lily's been suspended because we're not rich enough." The room remained oblivious, their conversations continuing, Vanessa uploading a confident picture to Instagram, with the caption, "Hat, Hillside Standards." While Ms. Veronica's words lingered, Vanessa Holt initiated a severe online attack. She shared a collection of Clara's difficulties, her apartment being damaged, Tara discarding her notebook, her face showing distress, accompanied by a mocking pop song, and the caption, "Poor mom struggles at Hillside. Stay in your lane." The video quickly became viral on TikTok, reaching 300,000 views and receiving comments such as, "She's a nobody," and "Hillside deserves better." Lila Pierce highlighted it on YouTube, stating, "This is why we protect our elite spaces. People like her damage everything." The video spread worldwide, each share a new pain for Clara, who saw it on a newsstand tablet outside, waiting for Ethan. Remarks in the auditorium mocked, whispering, "She's viral for all the wrong reasons." Their laughter stung, but Clara remained upright, her emerald eyes unwavering, her composure concealing turmoil within. The online harassment campaign targeted her reputation, with Vanessa leveraging Clara's distress to gain attention. Spectators continuously recorded the event, each share a demonstration of Hillside's harshness. The post accumulated 50,000 likes, each a painful blow. Clara remained composed, her shoes still, her heart a silent turmoil poised to erupt. 10 minutes elapsed when the auditorium doors swung open. Ethan Vale entered, his sharply tailored gray suit impeccable, his Italian leather shoes polished, his dark eyes assessing the room. At 35, he was renowned in the tech world, his AI company, Vale Tech, assessed at $10 billion, and featured on the Forbes 40 Under 40 cover. His $200 million contribution had financed Hillside's new library, theater, and STEM wing, his name displayed on the campus gates. The room fell silent, Vanessa's flute dropping, Diana's Birkin falling to the floor. Ethan Vale, Lila murmured, her earrings losing their shine. Adults remained standing, their ornaments appearing less vibrant, as Ethan approached Clara, resting a soft hand on her shoulder. "My apologies for the wait," he stated, his tone composed yet authoritative. "I am Lily's father, and the individual who invested $200 million into Hillside this year." A stunned silence filled the room. Ethan retrieved a USB drive from his briefcase and gave it to the principal, Dr. Helen Marsh, who stood motionless close by. "According to last week's security footage," he stated, his voice devoid of emotion, "the footage shows our daughter being forced into a cabinet. A teacher witnessed this incident and did not intervene." His gaze turned to Ms. Veronica, who visibly blanched, her blazer showing signs of distress. "You are no longer a teacher," he declared, "you are an accomplice." Parents reacted with shock, Vanessa's Chanel suit appearing to droop, and Diana's face flushed. Ethan's entrance didn't just quiet the room, it altered its dynamic. Addressing the parents, his voice was firm, stating that Hillside's funding was being reevaluated, beginning with each family implicated in this situation. Vanessa Holt's online influence significantly diminished as Chanel and Dior ended their partnerships, resulting in a drop to 5,000 followers, and her Pacific Heights penthouse was put on the market to address financial obligations. Diana Crane's real estate business failed, her yacht was taken back, and her Birkin handbags were sold at a pawn shop. Lila Pierce's technological ventures encountered widespread boycotts, and she was effectively excluded from Silicon Valley leadership roles. The National Education Association released a critical report, highlighted in a widely shared article, "Hillside Elites Fallen Trending." At a San Francisco charity ball, attendees wore cotton ribbons as a tribute to Clara, rejecting the discredited group. Online platforms buzzed with activity, users sharing they embarrassed Clara. Now they are being disregarded. Clara observed the consequences from her Oakland center, her cotton shirt a symbol of hope, her resolve unwavering as the elite acknowledged her truth. Ethan's influence was sudden and impactful. The implicated parties experienced public humiliation and apprehension about lasting consequences. Ethan's USB drive triggered a significant legal action, with the Vale's attorneys filing a $75 million lawsuit against Hillside for negligence and defamation, identifying Ms. Veronica, Tara, Paul, and Vanessa as co-conspirators. The court awarded $25 million, leading to Hillside's financial ruin, a depletion of its endowment, and the sale of its campus to a public trust. Ms. Veronica's teaching career concluded, her assets were seized, and her name became a cautionary example. Tara and Paul were charged with criminal negligence, their reputations irrevocably damaged. The settlement facilitated the Vale Foundation's expansion internationally, initiating anti-bullying programs in Berlin and Sydney, safeguarding 5,000 children. Schools globally embraced Clara's equity charter, eliminating elitist practices stemming from her actions. Forbes published a feature on Clara Vale, the mother who transformed education, with her flats representing resilience. Social media reacted strongly to Clara's triumph, with users sharing posts and celebrating her success in dismantling a corrupt system. At a foundation gala, a student embraced Clara, their future now assured. Clara smiled, her emerald eyes sparkling, her victory serving as a beacon of hope for those unheard. Ethan's influence was substantial, shattering the world of those responsible and burying their legacy beneath Clara's integrity. The WhatsApp group fell silent. The Harris Scholarship's incident videos were quickly removed in a flurry of anxiety. Clara stood up, the light illuminating her cotton shirt, her green eyes scanning the room, connecting with each person. "I'm not seeking apologies," she stated, her voice firm and resolute. "I simply hope that, following today's events, you will instruct your children to be respectful individuals, rather than cultivating a mindset that values people based on their wealth and possessions." She then faced Ms. Veronica, offering a smile that was outwardly pleasant but subtly sharp. "I prefer a simple style," she stated, "not because of any financial limitation, but because I felt no need to demonstrate anything to others." The room felt empty, the parents appearing diminished, their affluence rendered insignificant. Clara's words resonated like a judgment, her composure a subtle dismantling of their self-importance. Clara offered a final, courteous smile, stating, "Thanks to today, I can now clearly identify the genuinely disadvantaged individuals present." The immediate consequences were substantial. By evening, the San Francisco Chronicle published a headline, "Billionaire Donor Exposes Hillside Academy's Bullying Scandal." Footage from a USB, leaked to X, quickly became viral, depicting Lily, a small 9-year-old with Clara's emerald eyes, being shoved into a cabinet by Vanessa's daughter, Harper, while Ms. Veronica walked past with her clipboard. The clip reached 5 million views and generated hashtags such as Hillside, Shame, trending, along with comments like "Fire them all" and "Protect Lily." Ms. Veronica was terminated, her teaching license undergoing review, and her reputation severely damaged within educational communities. Vanessa's Instagram account experienced a loss of 200,000 followers, while her venture capitalist husband began to create distance between them. Their Pacific Heights mansion was discreetly put on the market. Clara chose to avoid prolonged public attention. A month later, she appeared at a renovated Oakland community center, her own apartment now quiet on the hardwood, establishing the Vale Foundation, a charitable organization dedicated to assisting bullied children and supporting underfunded schools. The initial gala generated $15 million, with Ethan's donation taking a leading role. Clara's cotton shirt had become iconic, appearing in Vogue as the look of courage. She managed every aspect, her notebook containing detailed plans, her iPhone receiving expressions of gratitude from families. Ethan, with his jet at SFO, provided support discreetly, but Clara's vision guided the mission. The center's walls displayed photographs of Lily's new school, a progressive academy where she flourished, her smile radiant. Hillside parents apologized, but Clara focused on change. Her wealth was tied up in Valetech. Hillside's reputation plummeted. The school board resigned, Dr. Marsh stepped down, her legacy tarnished. Vanessa's daughter was expelled, her family was rejected by the elite, Diane's real estate deals fell through, her Birkins were sold to cover debts, Lila's tech firm faced a boycott, her stilettos became a relic, Marcus lost his role as vice president, his smirk was forgotten. The academy experienced a 30% decline in enrollment, its chandeliers appeared dim, and its gates served as a stark reminder of Clara's statement. Online platforms celebrated with hashtags centered on Clara, trending as users shared posts. She refrained from arguing, achieving victory with composure. The Vale Foundation's second event, co-hosted by Clara and Ethan, welcomed 2,000 guests, each a reflection of their shared mission. Clara and Ethan spent evenings at their Marine County residence, where the garden flourished with lavender. She was dressed in a cotton shirt, and he wore a sweater, eschewing a tie. Over tea, they outlined plans, with Clara's notebook open on the table, displaying a recent photograph of Lily at the foundation's launch, her laughter bright. Their love was understated, their resources considerable, but their purpose even greater, dedicated to safeguarding those in need. The world now recognized Clara, no longer simply as a benefactor of scholarships, but as a powerful figure who transformed unkindness into empathy. Clara Vale sought no recognition. She was the core of it all. If you enjoyed this story, please consider supporting us by sharing it, liking it, and subscribing. We'd also love to hear from you. Please leave a comment and tell us what you would have done if you were in that room. Entering the interview at a leading financial firm, she felt belittled by a panel who mocked her linen shirt and accused her of being a fraud. They dismissed her impressive resume, laughing, and declared, "You're no leader. Go fetch coffee." Despite the humiliation, Elena remained composed, concealing a secret that would dramatically alter their perception. Shortly thereafter, the CEO addressed her with deference, his voice wavering, "Madam Chairwoman." The Altera Group's headquarters dominated Manhattan's skyline, a glass monolith projecting power and prestige. Its lobby resembled a cathedral of wealth, featuring marble floors, gold-trimmed elevators, and a chandelier, comparable in size to a small car, scattering prisms across leather sofas. Altera was a financial titan managing trillion-dollar portfolios for governments, tech giants, and old-money dynasties across Europe and beyond. The boardroom regularly welcomed Nobel laureates, and its executive suites saw a constant turnover of individuals from Ivy League institutions. The company fostered a demanding culture, where presentation held as much weight as skill, and an unsuitable suit could jeopardize a career. Altera's Instagram showcased its C-suite members wearing Armenian Rolexes, projecting a carefully constructed image of exclusivity. It was an environment where status served as protection, and those not belonging often faced rejection. Elena Royce entered the lobby, her white linen shirt crisp yet plain, her cream trousers tailored but understated, her flat shoes making no sound on the marble. At 39, she presented a striking image through her composure, with hazel eyes that conveyed both kindness and determination, dark hair styled in a low ponytail, and no cosmetics beyond a touch of lip balm. Her canvas tote held a notebook, a pen, and a well-worn copy of The Wealth of Nations. Elena possessed a legendary status in finance, holding a double MBA from Oxford and MIT. She had spent 15 years directing strategy for leading investment funds in Zurich, Singapore, and Boston, and had received personal endorsements from 3 global banking CEOs. A decade prior, she had designed Altera's recruitment system as a consultant, focusing on fairness and meritocracy, before transitioning to chair a private foundation. Today, Elena returned incognito to evaluate that system, presenting herself as an applicant for the position of Global Strategy Vice President. Her financial resources, connected to her husband's tech empire, were extensive but not readily apparent. She favored keeping it so. The receptionist, a young woman named Chloe with a neat bun and diamond earrings, observed Elena's attire and smiled faintly. Applicants for interviews utilized the side entrance, she stated, indicating a glass door. Elena acknowledged, her tote bag over her shoulder, and proceeded as directed, disregarding the hushed conversations from the suited executives in the vicinity. While Elena waited in the hallway prior to her interview, the other candidates, dressed in expensive suits and displaying a sense of superiority, gathered in a group around her, their murmurs cutting like barbs. Lila Tate, wearing a Gucci skirt, gestured toward Elena's tote and laughed, remarking, "Is that her briefcase or a grocery bag?" Jared Holt, considered the frontrunner, added to the mockery, tossing a crumpled dollar bill near her feet. "For your dry cleaning," he said with a sneer, eliciting laughter from the assembled group. A fellow applicant, Ethan Crane, identifiable by his Rolex, took a photograph and shared it within a group chat called Altera Wannabes. He captioned the image hat budget candidate. The sound of their amusement reverberated through the hallway as phones recorded Lila's chant. "No suit. No shot." Emily Voss, a junior HR staffer, observed from close proximity, offering no intervention. Elena's grip on her tote bag tightened, her hazel eyes reflecting suppressed distress, yet she maintained an upright posture, her composure a silent challenge to their unkindness. The video appeared on Instagram, quickly accumulating 10,000 views, and each comment felt like a personal affront. "Lost in turn?" one person wrote, followed by laughter. "Or the cleaning crew," another added, their amusement cutting. The side entrance opened onto a clinical hallway, where Elena joined a queue of applicants, primarily dressed in tailored suits and carrying leather briefcases. Jared Holt, a man in a pinstripe suit, looked down at her tote and remarked, "Hope you brought a better pitch than your wardrobe," his words intended to be heard and eliciting further laughter. Elena's hazel eyes shifted, but a faint smile touched her lips, her composure a quiet fortress. Within the interview room, a modern conference space featuring floor-to-ceiling windows, the panel was assembled. HR Director Michael Callahan, a man of substantial build in a $5,000 suit, Senior Manager Vanessa Klein, her red lipstick a sharp contrast against her tailored blazer, and Director of Operations David Rees, his cufflinks catching the light as he reviewed documents. Their gazes assessed Elena's appearance, their smiles restrained and calculated. Callahan reclined, a chuckle escaping him. "Are you the candidate? I assumed you were the coffee lady." Vanessa offered a smirk, commenting, "Is this your interview attire? Did nobody mention Altera has a standard?" The room's atmosphere grew heavy, their assessment a tangible presence. Elena spoke, her voice steady and deliberate. "Please review my resume, and let's begin the interview." Callahan scoffed, dismissing her file without opening it. "We'll get to that," he stated, his voice laced with disdain. The panel's inquiries seemed routine and intended to quickly end the discussion. While Elena tried to respond to Vanessa's shallow question regarding mergers, the panel seemed to intentionally undermine her. David Rees activated a projector showing a slide labeled Candidate Attire Standards featuring a photograph of a woman in a linen shirt closely resembling Elena's, marked with a red X. He stated with a smirk, and as the room chuckled, "This is you." Callahan then cut her off, demanding, "Speak louder. It's hard to focus with that outfit." Vanessa dropped a second test, 5 pages of conflicting financial models while still explaining, mentioning, "Oh, and this one's due in 3 minutes." The panel chuckled, their pens tapping, as Jared glanced in, winking at Callahan. The sabotage was obvious, a display intended to unsettle her. Elena's pen hesitated, her hazel eyes focusing, but she kept writing, her demeanor steady. A screenshot of the slide appeared, shared on the Altera Elite Slack with the caption, "Shash, dressed to fail." Each share felt like a public humiliation of her. "Describe your experience with high-stakes mergers," Vanessa inquired, her pen tapping with impatience. Elena started explaining her involvement in a $50 billion deal in Singapore, but David interrupted her. "That's sufficient," he stated, a smirk playing on his face. "It seems like assistant-level work." The panel looked at each other, their enjoyment evident. Then Callahan placed a 10-page financial analysis test onto the table. 5 minutes, he stated. "Let's see if you're worth our time." The test was exceptionally difficult, filled with complex equations, inconsistent data, and designed to be failed. Elena reviewed it, her hazel eyes focusing, but she wrote consistently, her pen moving with accuracy. When the time ended, Vanessa took the papers, giving them only a brief look. "You don't align with our leadership culture," she stated, her voice resolute. The reasons given were incorrect attire, a lack of presence, and a poor test performance. Before Elena could reply, Jared Holt, the candidate waiting outside, entered, his pinstripe suit sharply visible. He had been previously chosen. His interview was a mere formality following a $200,000 donation to Callahan's private fund. Jared gave Vanessa a wink, and she returned the gesture, moving his file to the top. "Now this is leadership material," she announced, making certain Elena heard. The panel chuckled. Callahan patted Jared's shoulder. "You're our guy," he stated, disregarding Elena's presence. The room's established order was evident. Wealth and appearances held more value than qualifications. Elena rose, holding her tote, and inclined her head, her voice calm but resolute. "I am unaware of any candidate so remarkable that the panel would dismiss all established criteria, encompassing experience and ethics. However, if a financial offering is sufficient to influence a decision, then today's assessment is superfluous." A palpable silence fell. Callahan's face flushed, his hand striking the table as he rose. "Are you suggesting we solicit bribes?" he demanded. "Do you have any understanding of who you're addressing? This is a leading financial conglomerate, not a venue for unfounded claims." Vanessa's slight smile disappeared, and her pen fell from her hand. David moved closer, his tone sharp. "You display a remarkable lack of respect, madam. It's no surprise you present yourself so plainly." The other candidates in the hallway, looking through the glass, murmured, "She's finished." Elena remained unmoved. She met Callahan's gaze, her voice calm and measured. "I know precisely who I am addressing," she stated, "and with equal clarity, who is not worthy of a place at this table." A profound silence filled the room, unsettling the panel, their eyes shifting with unease. As Elena's words lingered, Vanessa turned to David, her whisper carrying through the space. "She is likely a dissatisfied employee seeking legal action," she remarked with a smirk. "Observe her closely. It seems likely she created her resume at a public library." The interview panel reacted with laughter, their voices cutting, as Jared joined in, offering a playful salute to Elena. "Better luck at the temp agency," he remarked, high-fiving David. Candidates in the hallway quietly chuckled, recording the interaction on their phones for a private Slack channel named All Terra Elites. The video circulated rapidly, accompanied by captions like, "Our coffee lady crashes." Comments followed, including dismissive remarks like, "What a loser! Fire her already." Elena's fingers gripped her tote, her hazel eyes unwavering. However, The shame felt palpable, enveloping her like smoke. She remained silent, her dignity serving as a defense against their harshness. The panel's derision intensified. One man, still visibly angered, snatched Elena's test and ripped it in half, throwing the fragments onto the table. "This is our assessment of your abilities," he declared, his voice resonant. "You are consuming our time." Vanessa rose, the sound of her heels sharp, and indicated Elena's tote. "Check that bag before she leaves," she instructed a security guard stationed by the door. She added, "I wouldn't be surprised if she's got company pens in there." The guard, a stocky man named Victor, smirked and approached, his radio emitting static. "Open it, ma'am," he said, his tone suggesting suspicion. Elena calmly unzipped her tote, displaying only her notebook and book. But the guard shook his head, murmuring, "Shady." The panel chuckled. With Jared taking a photo, the flash illuminated Elena's face. An image appeared on Twitter, labeled as an all-terror rejection, and quickly gained 5,000 retweets. Elena's jaw clenched, but she secured her tote, maintaining her composure. Beyond the glass walls, the other candidates created a barrier, their murmured comments forming a wave of disapproval. "No wonder she's struggling," one remarked, a woman in a Gucci skirt named Lila Tate. Another, a man wearing a Tom Ford suit, added, "I'll wager she's never been in a boardroom." The sound of their laughter resonated, phones recording as Elena passed by, her apartment quiet. Lila created a TikTok, adding her commentary over the video. "This is why Altera's elite. We don't allow just anyone in." The video quickly reached 50,000 views, each share feeling like a public embarrassment. As Elena approached the elevator, a junior HR staffer, Emily Voss, smiled, saying, "Wrong floor, hun." Janitors used the service lift. A sudden burst of laughter filled the hallway, the candidate's amusement sharp and jarring, but Elena remained composed, pressing the button as her hazel eyes focused on the doors, her demeanor concealing a fierce determination. The elevator hadn't finished closing when the panel delivered their final critique. Callahan arrived in the hallway, clutching Elena's untouched resume, and declared, "Don't expect to return, you're blacklisted." He ripped the file, scattering the pages across the floor before the candidates. Vanessa followed, her tone laced with animosity. "Take your little book with you," she said, nudging Elena's copy of The Wealth of Nations towards her. The candidates responded with cheers, Jared shouting, "Back to the library." The security guard laughed quietly, his radio static as he murmured, "Thought she'd cause trouble." The video of the resumes shredding quickly spread online, with the hashtag Altera Elites trending in all comments. The general sentiment was, "She deserved it. No class, no chance, a fresh wound." Elena grasped her book, the weight of betrayal in her tote, and entered the elevator, holding her head high. Shortly after, the boardroom doors opened, and Gideon Price, the CEO, walked in. At 50 years old, he was a renowned figure, possessing a strong jawline, silver-flecked hair, and blue eyes that commanded attention. Gideon had transformed Altera into a worldwide leader, his reputation for impartiality as respected as his intelligence. Without looking at the panel, he walked purposefully toward Elena, who had been brought back by his assistant, Lucas, a young man in a navy suit. The atmosphere in the room changed, and the panel's expressions softened. Gideon halted before Elena, his voice a low and steady tone. "Madam Chairwoman," he said, inclining his head slightly, "I apologize for the delay." The room felt heavy, and the panel's complexions paled. Elena released her coat, exposing a gold-plated badge affixed to her shirt, identifying her as chairwoman of the board, Elena Royce. She addressed the panel, her hazel eyes displaying a controlled coolness. "I did not come here seeking employment," she stated, her voice clear and resonant. She hesitated, her eyes meeting those of Callahan, then Vanessa, then Jared. "And the conclusion is negative." Following Gideon's words, "Madam Chairwoman," the panel's confidence dissolved into fear. Callahan's face turned pale, his $5,000 suit offering no protection as he stammered, "Chairwoman? This is a mistake." Vanessa's heels shook, her red lipstick a striking contrast to her pallor as she gripped the table, murmuring, "No one told us." David's cufflinks made a clicking sound as his hands trembled, his projector slide still displaying the taunting image of Elena's outfit. Elena retrieved a tablet from her tote and presented a live feed of the Altera Elite's Slack, revealing their captions, "Hat Coffee Lady crashes dressed to fail," to the assembled group. "You fostered a culture of corruption," she stated, her voice composed yet forceful, her hazel eyes focused intently on each panelist. The candidates in the hallway reacted with surprise, dropping their phones as Lucas displayed Elena's identification on the wall, prominently showing her title, Chairwoman of the Board. Gideon's blue eyes darkened, his voice a growl. "You're done," he told the panel, their careers vanishing before them. The room's silence served as a verdict, their fear a palpable force as Elena's power altered their world. Gasps spread through the room, the candidates in the hallway stopping, their phones lowering. Callahan's mouth opened but no words came. Vanessa's heels wobbled, her red lipstick a striking contrast against her complexion. Jared's pinstripe suit seemed to contract, his confidence gone. Elena advanced, placing her tote on the table, her voice unwavering. 10 years ago, I established Altera's hiring process to emphasize merit, skills, ethics, and vision, she stated. Today, you have demonstrated that it has become a venue for corruption and prejudice. She retrieved a folder from her tote, passing it to Gideon. This contains proof of payments to guarantee positions, encompassing Mr. Holtz. The folder specified Jared's $200,000 contribution, bank transfers linked to Callahan's account, and emails from Vanessa assuring Jared the position. A wave of shock rippled through the panel. Their hands shook. Gideon's expression grew severe, his voice firm. He announced, "Effective immediately, Mr. Callahan, Ms. Klein, Mr. Reese, and Mr. Holt are suspended pending investigation." The security guard, Victor, visibly lost color, his radio unresponsive as Lucas led him away. The consequences were substantial. By noon, Altera's board initiated a comprehensive inquiry, revealing a system of compensated roles and discriminatory behaviors. Callahan's fund was frozen, his $5,000 suit offering no protection as he confronted fraud charges. Vanessa's LinkedIn profile was overwhelmed with bribe queen comments, and her consulting engagements were canceled. Jared's finance career suffered a devastating blow, his pinstripe suit becoming a relic as firms placed him on a blacklist. The investigation uncovered that Lila Tate and Emily Voss had disclosed internal memos that ridiculed unsuitable candidates, resulting in their terminations and the suspension of their social media accounts for hate speech. Elena's inquiry went beyond suspending the panel. It removed individuals involved in wrongdoing from Altera's boardroom. She called for an urgent board meeting, appearing with a linen shirt illuminated by the chandeliers, and presented a file detailing 20 managers connected to the bribery scheme, their names displayed on a screen. The board, previously unconcerned with reputation concerns, remained motionless, their professional attire providing no protection as Elena's voice resonated. "You facilitated a process that traded trust for money." Sarah Holt, Callahan's deputy and the individual who had approved Jared's deal, visibly lost color as security personnel led her away. A palpable change in the room's atmosphere occurred, with directors visibly shaken as Elena implemented the Royce standard, requiring ethics audits for every new hire. The Financial Times broadcast her speech live, her tote bag visible on the podium as she stated, "Altera will lead by merit or it will not lead at all." Online platforms celebrated her, with the hashtag BoardroomBestrending gaining traction, each message acknowledging her bold leadership. The LinkedIn profiles of the removed managers disappeared, their apprehension regarding Elena's determination leaving a lasting impression. The Street Journal published a front-page article detailing the Altera scandal, highlighting bribery and bias within the financial giant. Social media exploded, with at Ultrashame becoming a global trending topic, users posting commentary. They ridiculed her shirt, now they are without employment. The hallway candidates, previously Elena's detractors, confronted a public accounting as Lucas broadcast the interview recordings to Altera's internal network. Lila Tate's Gucci skirt appeared to droop as a TikTok video making fun of Elena appeared. Her face flushed as colleagues murmured, "That's her." Jared's dollar toss played again, his pinstripe suit offering no protection. As gasps echoed in the hallway, his Altera-inspired group chat, with 200 members, was revealed, causing embarrassment. Ethan Crane's Rolex shone as he attempted to leave, but security prevented him, his photo post now labeled, #, career killer online. Elena stood at the room's center, her tote on the table, and stated, "You judged me by my shirt, not my skills. Now the world sees your character." The footage appeared on LinkedIn, accumulating 5 million views, with comments such as, "They're finished. Elena's a queen." A cheer arose for her triumph. The candidates' careers suffered a collapse, their elitism becoming a public embarrassment, their fear of Elena's power serving as a lesson reflected in their downfall. The audience responded with enthusiasm on social media, with Royce rules trending as Elena's justice prevailed. Footage from a leaked interview, provided to a news outlet by Lucas, reached 30 million views. The video depicted Callahan ripping Elena's test, Vanessa's request for a bag check, and Jared's taunts, contrasted with Elena's composure and Gideon's bull. The phrase "Madam Chairwoman" became a recurring theme on TikTok, with each mention celebrated as a sign of Elena's victory. Videos of the candidates, including Lila's TikTok and Jared's photo, were transformed into memes bearing the caption "Elite Losers." Altera's Instagram, previously a platform displaying authority, was overwhelmed with comments expressing disapproval, such as "Shame on you," seeking justice for Elena. The board's apology, released at 6 a.m., was overshadowed by online criticism, and the company's reputation became a warning example. Elena went beyond suspensions. 1 week later, she appeared at a press conference wearing a plain navy blazer, with a tote bag on the podium, to announce Altera's revised recruitment policy. She stated, with unwavering hazel eyes, that all applications would be submitted anonymously, without names, photos, or personal branding. Only skills would be considered. A wave of applause and flashing cameras filled the space. The new policy, known as the Royce Standard, prohibited evaluations based on appearance, requiring anonymous reviews for all positions. Forbes described it as a seismic shift in executive recruitment, and organizations such as Goldman Sachs and UBS implemented comparable procedures. Elena's Royce Standard created a significant impact far beyond Altera, compelling international companies to confront their own biases. During a Davos panel discussion, Elena, with her tote by her side, urged CEOs to implement blind hiring, her hazel eyes focusing intently on a visibly unsettled bank executive who had previously criticized her consulting work. The room fell silent, his apology was subsequently tweeted, and #Elena effect became a trending topic as 50 firms committed to reforms. Following the panel at Altera, the desks were cleared, Callahan's awards were discarded, Vanessa's designer pens were taken, and Jared's framed MBA was placed in a bin. Colleagues observed with astonishment as Elena passed, her flats making no sound, her voice composed. This exemplified accountability. The Economist highlighted her with the cover story, "The Chairwoman's Revolution," her linen shirt becoming symbolic. The individual responsible exhibited clear apprehension, their names removed from finance records, their workspaces deserted as Elena's policies transformed the industry. Online platforms expressed approval, with users commenting, "She straightened the executive out." Elena's influence, understated yet profound, left those responsible feeling shaken. Elena's impact extended beyond Altera. Her foundation initiated a worldwide program, providing financial training to 10,000 women, equipping them to address bias, with workshops featuring accounts of discrimination. She meticulously managed every aspect, her notebook documenting numerous ideas, and her tote bag a familiar sight at seminars. Her husband, Nathan Royce, a tech billionaire who established a cybersecurity enterprise, offered his support discreetly. His Gulfstream was stationed at Teterboro, yet it was Elena's vision that fueled change. The boardroom where she'd been mocked became the Royce Conference Center, honoring her legacy. Correspondence arrived from candidates globally, expressing how the Royce Standard instilled hope. Elena read each letter, her hazel eyes reflecting determination. Altera didn't fully regain its former vibrancy. Its stock price stabilized, but the company's culture transformed, the Royce Standard eliminating elitism. Altera's Instagram now highlighted a varied workforce, its chandeliers softened by Elena's influence. Callahan and Vanessa receded from public view, their bribes becoming a minor detail. Jared's LinkedIn profile remained inactive, his confidence concealed. Lila and Emily sought employment in retail, their TikTok videos removed. The public observed Elena's ascent, her white shirt symbolizing strength. She refrained from boasting, instead establishing a more equitable system, utilizing composure rather than animosity. Elena and Nathan enjoyed evenings in their Brooklyn brownstone, where the garden echoed with their daughter's laughter. She wore a linen shirt, he wore jeans, no tie. They discussed strategy over coffee, her tote on the counter holding a new photo. Elena at the policy launch, her smile radiant. Their wealth was immense, but their mission was greater, rooted in a shared belief in fairness. The world knew Elena now, not as a billionaire's wife, but as a force who turned scorn into systemic change. Elena Royce didn't need a title, she was the standard. If the story moved you, please like, share, comment, and subscribe for more. She felt deep embarrassment, openly, directly in the boardroom. Due to the company's dress code, she wore a simple white shirt, an unbranded black pencil skirt, worn flats, and kept her hair loosely tied back, without any makeup. Nora Wells had intended only to present a stack of documents and leave discreetly. However, before she could enter, a taunting voice called out, "Sweetheart, restrooms to the left, billion-dollar boardrooms to the right, don't get lost." The room erupted in laughter. Another person gestured to security, sharply requesting, "Could someone please escort her out? We can't allow back-office personnel to participate in brainstorms." She remained still, visibly surprised, but kept her gaze fixed on the executive who had snapped his fingers, the very same man who had previously mistakenly taken her email pitch deck and presented it as his own. But they were mistaken. The woman who had just been removed from the boardroom was the fiancée of the man who had recently acquired the company where they all worked, and tonight's urgent shareholders meeting would prove to be the most costly experience of their careers. Nora Wells resided in a simple Brooklyn apartment, a fifth-floor walk-up featuring squeaky stairs and a window that shook in the breeze. At 34, she was reconstructing her life following a divorce that left her possessing only a suitcase and a determination to be self-reliant. She held a temporary secretarial position at Vantage Corp, a technology company known for its competitive atmosphere and modern glass-walled offices. Her workspace was a corner cubicle, cluttered with memos that went unread, and her days were filled with coffee deliveries and photocopying tasks. She expressed no complaints, desiring neither sympathy nor attention. She simply aimed to progress steadily, with small, deliberate actions. Just prior to the boardroom incident, Nora was in the Vantage Corp break room, replenishing a coffee pot for a meeting to which she hadn't received an invitation. A collection of analysts entered the room, their conversation ceasing as they noticed her. One, a woman in a tailored suit named Claire, gave a mocking smile. "Look, it's the office cleaner. Still employed?" Her companions chuckled, one of them discarding an empty creamer carton towards the wastebasket, causing it to fall close to Nora's feet. "Retrieve that, please," he said with a playful wink. Claire moved closer, speaking with enough volume for others to overhear. "Honestly, why is she even present? Temporary workers like her diminish the company's image." A manager walked by and quietly laughed, saying, "Focus on your duties, Nora, not fantasies." A ripple of quiet amusement spread through the room, with glances directed at Nora as she deliberately cleaned the counter, her hands sure, but her jaw clenched. She remained silent, showed no reaction, simply completed her task and departed, the sound of their laughter following her like a lingering scent. The break room seemed confined, her sense of self challenged, yet she continued, present but unyielding. Just 11 months prior, she had encountered Asher Wells within a dusty bookstore, both extending their hands toward the identical, well-worn copy of Kierkegaard. He presented as quiet, wearing faded jeans, wire-rimmed glasses, and possessing a smile that felt familiar. They engaged in conversation for hours, philosophical discussions intertwined with laughter, and by the time they departed, Nora's self-imposed restriction against rapid attachment began to weaken. Asher seemed different. He did not display his affluence, although she perceived it through subtle details, like the quality of his watch, which he never mentioned. She never inquired about his financial status. It held no importance to her. Following the pain of her previous relationship, She had resolved to rely on no one. Affection, in her view, meant partnership, not dependence. Nora concealed her employment, even from Asher. When he questioned her about her day, she would reply, "Just paperwork," and redirect the discussion toward literature or aspirations. She preferred it that way. Her difficulties were personal, not his responsibility to resolve. At Vantage Core, she remained unobtrusive, a temporary worker who merged seamlessly into the environment. Her white shirt was clean but unremarkable, her skirt purchased at a discounted price, her flats worn from journeys on the subway, her chestnut hair, habitually tied back loosely, highlighted a face that possessed a natural radiance, despite the fact that no one at the firm acknowledged it. They perceived her as insignificant, unaware that she was once the founder of an AI startup, built entirely from scratch, only to have it taken from her. One morning, Nora was assigned the job of organizing mail within Vantage Core's main office, a glass enclosure where executives displayed their influence. While walking past, Paul Cantor noticed her and called out, "Hey, delivery girl, do you have anything for me? Are you just here to appear busy?" His laughter attracted attention, with assistants smiling from their workstations. He bent down, quickly looking through her stack, dropping envelopes without care. "Bet you don't even know what's in these. Big money stuff, not your level." A coworker added, "Yeah, stick to basic supplies and coffee, sweetheart." Someone quickly shared a video online, showing her dropping the mail, a classic blunder. Criticism accumulated, questions arose about her presence. Nora continued her task, her movements accurate, her expression unreadable. A less experienced employee remarked, "She's like a fixture, helpful, unremarkable." The workspace resonated with derision, words that she neither avoided nor allowed to affect her. She completed her work, departed without a word, her resilience a hidden power they failed to recognize. On Wednesday, Nora was dispatched to the 42nd floor boardroom with a collection of funding reports. She had previously visited that location once, delivering pens, and understood the importance of brevity. The room exuded authority, with a mahogany table, floor-to-ceiling windows, and executives in tailored suits casually discussing billions as if they were small amounts. She tapped gently, but the door opened abruptly, interrupting a sentence and drawing unwanted attention. The development director, Greg Harlan, paused his presentation, his laughter suddenly brittle. "Restrooms are to the left, billion-dollar boardrooms to the right. Be careful not to get disoriented," he remarked. Amusement spread through the room, chairs groaning as heads turned. Nora held the reports tightly, her expression composed despite her accelerated pulse. Another executive, Paul Cantor, smirked, commenting that the janitorial staff these days showed considerable nerve. A third, Victor Reese, raised his coffee mug with a knowing look. "Take this back down, please," he said. "It's a bit watery." He added, "Next time knock before entering." The room erupted in renewed laughter, their gazes fixed on her as if she were an exhibit. The most difficult encounter was with Greg, the man who had taken her pitch deck 2 years prior. It was a neural net concept she had emailed in confidence, and she watched as he presented it as his own innovation at a conference. She had been working as a temporary employee then, voiceless and unable to challenge him. She offered a slight smile, a courteous nod, and turned to depart, her flats making no sound on the marble. There were no spoken words, no objections, only a sustained look that held Greg's gaze a moment too long. The door closed behind her, their laughter muted but still painful. Returning to her cubicle, she arranged the reports in an orderly fashion, her hands remaining calm. She exhibited no tears, no outbursts. She simply concluded her shift, her thoughts already focused elsewhere. She thought of Asher, their dinner arrangements, and the future she was constructing, patiently and deliberately. Following a late shift, Nora awaited the elevator, her arms laden with files she's been instructed to reorganize by a mocking manager. Victor Reese entered, his cologne noticeable, his phone held to his ear. He looked at her, a smirk playing on his lips, and said into the call, "Yeah, some temps are using the lift." He added, "I bet she's lost again." He ended the call, turning to her. "You know, Nora, you're like a ghost here. Nobody seems to notice you." His laugh was sharp, amplified by 2 assistants who followed him, one copying her weary stance. Carrying all that junk? Is this a movie playing secretary? Mother questioned. Someone nearby took a picture, sharing it online with the caption, "Temp life, sad and overloaded." Victor laughed, emerging as the doors slid open, playfully remarking, "Don't trip, dear. Wouldn't want you lingering." Nora remained motionless, her gaze unwavering, her quietness a defense. The elevator descended, its motor a low drone, carrying her downwards. Their unkindness was a burden she carried, but it didn't crush her. That afternoon, VantageCore's internal network failed due to a single email. Urgent. Shareholder update. An unidentified fund had obtained 82% of the company's shares, taking effect immediately. Rumors spread quickly amongst the workstations. Would there be layoffs? Word of potential bankruptcy prompted an emergency board meeting scheduled for 6 p.m. Attendance was required for all senior staff. Nora noticed the email, her expression concerned, but dismissed it. She wasn't part of the senior team. She left work at 5 p.m., her bag over her shoulder, and went to meet Asher at their usual diner. While a company-wide meeting took place in the auditorium, Nora was tasked with distributing agendas, moving between lines of talking employees. Greg Harlan, on stage, noticed her and stopped speaking. "It seems our coffee server misplaced herself once more," he remarked, smiling as the audience chuckled. He signaled for her to approach, accepting an agenda and displaying it dramatically. "Nora, isn't it? Tell us, what does a temporary employee think of our major initiatives?" The room erupted in jeers, with one person yelling, "Back to the copy room." An assistant recorded the incident, sharing it online with the caption, "Temp gets roasted, priceless." Greg tossed the agenda back, grinning, "Focus on retrieval, not analysis, all right?" Co-workers murmured amongst themselves, their gazes pointedly noting her simple blouse and her reserved demeanor. Nora distributed the final papers, her action steady, her expression resolute. She departed the platform, their mirth a wave she traversed, her composure a beacon that could not be lessened. At the diner, Asher was less talkative than normal, his fingers drumming on the tabletop. "Something significant is occurring," he stated, his voice subdued. "Do you trust me?" Nora affirmed, intrigued, but withholding questions. He smiled, a brief spark of amusement in his eyes. "Excellent. I require you to accompany me this evening, to a place of importance." She paused. The dust lay thick on her flats, and her shirt was a little creased, yet his hand on hers felt firm and reassuring. "Okay," she said, her pulse quickening. She wasn't sure of their destination, but with Asher she always felt secure. One lunch hour, Nora found herself alone in the VantageCore cafeteria, rereading a memo she had typed. A group of marketing representatives, led by Claire once more, positioned themselves close by, their voices carrying, "Honestly, it's her again. Does she ever go anywhere?" Claire remarked, rolling her eyes. "I bet she's enjoying finding mistakes in her own typing." Laughter erupted, with one person playfully tossing a napkin that landed on Nora's tray. "Oops, thought you were the cleanup crew," he said, grinning. Another person shared a surreptitious photo online, captioning it "Temp lunch, lonely and lame." Comments criticized her skirt and her solitude. A coworker leaned in, feigning sweetness. "Nora, dear, why not find a permanent job? This isn't your place," they said. The cafeteria was filled with chatter, all eyes on her, anticipating a reaction. Nora carefully folded the memo, her hands remained steady, and her gaze was unwavering. She rose, carrying a tray, and departed, their jeers following but failing to affect her deeply. She possessed an inner strength they couldn't diminish. At 6 p.m., the VantageCore boardroom was full, a palpable tension hanging in the air. Greg Harlan straightened his tie, remarking to Paul Cantor, "Some ambitious individual is likely here to dismantle us." Victor Reese checked his phone, commenting on stock values. The doors opened, and Asher Wells entered, having exchanged his jeans for a tailored suit, and without his glasses, his presence dominating the room. Nora stood behind him, wearing a simple white shirt and worn flats. The atmosphere grew still. Greg's smile disappeared. Paul's coffee cup shook. Victor's phone slid across the table. Apologies for the delay, Asher said, adjusting his watch. We've just resolved some unnecessary equity. His tone was even, yet each word carried weight. He indicated Nora, who remained quiet, her gaze sweeping across the room, not with anger, but with composure. A manager struggled with his phone, enlarging a photograph online, his complexion draining. Asher Wells, he murmured. The investor, the one, goodness. Asher didn't delay. Vantage Corp's been poorly administered for years, he began, moving back and forth. Ineffective departments, a harmful atmosphere, misappropriated concepts. His gaze shifted to Greg, who visibly recoiled in his seat. Starting now, a restructuring is underway. The marketing department has been reduced by half, developments are being reviewed, and several contracts, he hesitated, allowing the word to linger, have been terminated. The sound of papers shifting and throats clearing filled the room. Paul coughed, his earlier confidence diminished. Victor jotted down notes, perspiration forming on his forehead. Then Nora moved forward. The room fell silent, all attention on her. Her voice, when she spoke, was calm and steady, like a river finding its course. If I had come here seeking revenge, I would be indistinguishable from any of you. I'm not requesting consideration due to my role as his wife. I'm requesting consideration because I demonstrated it. She didn't raise her voice, didn't point fingers. She simply stood there, her white shirt catching the light, her gaze steady as stone. Asher turned to her, his face softening, not protective, not possessive, but awestruck. He didn't see a woman to save. He saw a partner, a force, someone who matched his every step. The execs sat frozen, their earlier laughter a ghost haunting the silence. Greg's hands trembled, the stolen pitch deck feeling like an unbearable burden. Paul's mug remained untouched, growing cold. Victor's notes were scattered, his assurance gone. Nora's statement lingered, and Asher resumed the explanation, his voice now firm. Some of you know Nora as a temporary worker, he said, but she is much more than that. She is a founder, a visionary. And you, he directed his gaze at Greg, then Paul, then Victor, attempted to diminish her. He presented the plan, new leadership, a culture overhaul, a focus on innovation over egos. The room acknowledged, too surprised to object. The meeting concluded at 7 o'clock, and the boardroom emptied, executives departing as if reprimanded. That night, Nora and Asher were on her apartment's fire escape, city lights shimmering below. You didn't need to do this, she said, her voice quiet yet resolute. Asher shrugged, his hand briefly touching hers. I didn't do it for you. She felt compelled to act, given their unsuitability to lead a company that had harmed someone like her. She acknowledged his sentiment with a smile, not for the praise, but for the honesty she saw in his expression. The details of the meeting were never revisited. Instead, they simply shared a quiet moment as night enveloped them, two individuals who had connected in a world that sought to diminish them. The following morning, Vantage Corp was in disarray. Greg Harlan was terminated, his lauded innovation revealed to be Nora's misappropriated work. News outlets published headlines. Exec fired for IP theft. Paul Cantor's department underwent significant restructuring, culminating in his resignation. Victor Reese retained his position, though his authority diminished, signified by the abandonment of his coffee mug. Rumors circulated suggesting Asher Wells possessed vast wealth and operated as a secretive investor, capable of rapidly reshaping organizations. And Nora? Her role extended beyond being Asher Wells's fiancée. She proved to be an individual whose abilities were previously disregarded. By the week's end, Vantage Corp's established leadership faced collapse, and Paul Cantor's resignation failed to prevent it. Clients abandoned his side projects, referencing ethical concerns following the emergence of Nora's stolen pitch. His LinkedIn profile disappeared, and his claims of significant achievements were ridiculed in industry discussions. A widely shared post stated, "Cantor's out, guest snapping fingers doesn't pay." His department, formerly his domain, was restructured with new personnel, and his name was removed from internal communications. Staff members discussed his departure, with some imitating his smirk as they walked past his vacant office. Paul attempted to present proposals to competitors, but was consistently rejected. Many questioned the character of a man who had spoken dismissively of a brilliant mind. The coffee mug he left behind was discarded, marking a conclusive end to his period of influence. Applause erupted from the audience, their resentment transforming into victory as Nora's revelations redefined his reputation. A week later, a journalist representing TechBit conducted a more thorough investigation, revealing details of Nora's history. She had established Neuropath, an AI startup, at the age of 27. Her algorithms were exceptionally innovative, predictive models with the potential to significantly improve healthcare. Her partners, connected to VantageCore's initial investors, had acted against her, altering patents to exclude her. She had contested this in court, lost all she possessed, and subsequently left. A divorce followed, with her former spouse aligning with those who prevailed. Nora remained composed. She began anew, accepting temporary employment and steadily reconstructing her life. The article gained widespread attention, highlighting the promising talent they attempted to suppress. Victor Reese's decline was gradual, yet equally severe. His former authority diminished as Nora's vision gained prominence. His professional relationships deteriorated as people remembered his past behavior, including his hurtful comments and subtle criticisms. A released email revealed his disparaging remarks about her, which was now widely circulated online under the title Reese's Big Mississippi. His presentations failed, with clients expressing concerns about his integrity. He was reassigned to a smaller workspace, while his former corner office was given to Nora, a coder she had previously guided. Public opinion turned against him, with online commentary focused on his downfall. His presence diminished, his voice barely audible during meetings. The board retained him, but as a cautionary example, a remnant of hubris, eclipsed by Nora's brilliance. The audience erupted, their hands raised in triumph as his derision dissolved. Nora's power, the definitive statement. Staff at VantageCore viewed the performance and recognized the pattern. The temporary employee they had disregarded was exceptional. She was a visionary who prioritized humility over retribution. Some experienced regret, recalling dismissive remarks in the break room. Others felt admiration, passing her former cubicle as if it were a sacred space. Nora did not revel in the attention. She continued her work, now operating from a modest office Asher had established, prioritizing utility over appearances. She was developing concepts, innovative systems, more equitable hiring practices, and fostering a work environment where everyone felt valued. One evening, Asher scheduled a gathering, choosing the cafeteria, where the genuine efforts occurred instead of the boardroom. Cleaners, clerks, and coders occupied the space, their expressions showing interest. "I'm not intending to lead this place permanently," Asher stated, speaking directly. "I'm here to resolve its issues, and I can't accomplish that without her." He nodded to Nora, who stood close by, her flat still showing wear, her shirt still simple. She didn't acknowledge the applause with a smile. Instead, she spoke, her words direct and honest. "VantageCore is failing because it prioritized egos over ideas," she stated. "I understand what it's like to be where you are, to be ignored, to be disregarded. That changes now. We are creating a company where your contributions are valued, not your position." The room was silent, completely attentive. A janitor nodded, his eyes shining. A coder raised her hand, suggesting an app she had previously hesitated to present. Nora listened intently, taking notes with sharp focus. When she finished, the cafeteria was filled with a sense of potential, rather than fear. Several weeks passed before the media frenzy began. Secretary Mary's billionaire investor. The tabloids declared, publishing photographs of Nora's flats and Asher's watch. Nora chose to disregard the attention, but a TechBit journalist continued to investigate, positioning her as the central figure of the narrative. Nora Wells didn't return. She constructed a new pathway, the article stated, outlining her startup's challenges, her unwavering spirit, and her progress. Public reaction was immediate. Many proclaimed Nora Wells as the leader needed. VantageCore stock, initially unstable, increased significantly as customers lauded the updated approach. Nora's selection as Chief of Culture and Innovation wasn't a simple occurrence. signaled a significant shift. She entered her initial board meeting, not in a formal suit, but in her standard skirt and shirt. The assembled members rose, not from intimidation, but from deference. Greg's seat was vacant, Paul's nameplate removed. Victor remained composed, his voice quiet. Nora made no triumphant statements. She articulated her vision, transparency, mentorship, prioritizing ideas over hierarchy. A junior analyst proposed a solution for their AI platform. Nora acknowledged him, offering him a marker. Let it, she instructed. The room seemed to release its breath, reinvigorated. The wedding proceeded discreetly. There was no media coverage, no spectacle. Nora wore a simple dress and Asher wore a plain suit. They selected a Brooklyn rooftop, where string lights gently swayed in the breeze. The guest list was carefully curated. It included 100 women from VantageCore lowest floors, receptionists, coders, and cleaners. Everyone received a personal, handwritten invitation, written in Nora's characteristic neat and welcoming style. The ceremony focused not on displays of authority, but on a reimagining of it. A clerk recited a poem she composed, her voice filled with emotion. A coder offered a toast, praising Nora for recognizing them. Asher observed, holding Nora's hand, his expression conveying volumes. This represented their community, collaboratively created. During the press conference a few days afterward, photographers crowded around, but Asher kept his remarks concise. I didn't acquire this company because she's my wife, he stated, his voice calm. I acquired it because they previously attempted to undermine the most exceptional woman I've ever known. He moved aside, allowing Nora to take the microphone. She spoke briefly, simply thanking her team, her gaze directed towards the women in the back, her guests, her supporters. The audience erupted, not for material gain or retribution, but for a woman who had transformed suffering into a meaningful mission. The operational center shifted. Hallways formerly bleak now resonated with innovation. A more sustainable proposal for environmentally friendly supplies was approved, her name included in the policy. The launch of a coder's application was celebrated, with her joyful expression featured on the company blog. Nora's office remained accessible, her door consistently unlocked. She dedicated extra hours, driven by genuine commitment. Her efforts encompassed every memo, every meeting, and every opportunity to restore what was damaged. One peaceful evening, Nora and Asher strolled through that familiar bookstore, their fingers lightly touching as they examined the books. She selected a volume, not Kierkegaard, but a recent AI journal, where her name appeared in a published article. A faint, genuine smile touched her lips, and she tucked it away. It wasn't necessary to voice it. The world they had created was sufficient, robust, equitable, and belonged to them. If this narrative resonated with you even slightly, please comment, share, and subscribe for additional content.